That guy looks like a dick.
Funny.
Now family is whatever and whoever you want it to be. They are your home. Home is where your heart lives. Home is where your stash is.
Aha! Showtime!
Welcome to the party, pal!
Say hello to my little friend!
Here's Johnny!
Who's the best?
Put that cookie down!
What's in the box?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is Video Store Clerks. Welcome to the store.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hello, good people. Welcome once again to the Video Store Clerks Podcast. This is our Tuesday night live stream. We're back with you here tonight. We are your clerks for the evening. I am Dave.
Jamming.
Mike.
Chug. And Tony.
And scroll up. Joining us tonight. Well, first, last week, if you tuned in, our boy Chuck Nasty picked his movie for the week. So this is a Nasty certified, Nasty recommended film. It will be High on the Hog. That's right, High on the Hog 2019, starring Sid Haig. And tonight, as you can see, we have a very special guest. His production company, Scotchworthy Productions, has produced several films over the years, going back to 2007's Choose Your Own Adventure style horror film, It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To. Other projects include A Chance in Hell, The Rake, The Muck, among others, and including tonight's movie, High on the Hog. You can check out more from Scotchworthy Productions on their official website, scotchworthy.com, as well as their YouTube channel, Scotchworthy TV. Links are in the description. Please welcome to the store, Mr. Tony Walsh.
Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to chatting with you about High on the Hog and everything else that you want to talk about, whether it's about me or horror or whatever. So, but I appreciate you having me on.
Great. Thank you for coming. It's such a crazy coincidence that Chuck just happened to pick this movie.
Yeah.
And Chad was like, hey, I know that guy.
Oh, yeah. So Chad didn't even recommend it. It was just kind of a random thing that you found.
It was fate.
It was meant to be.
It was my choice. And I had a couple other movies, and then I was thinking of like movies that I like needed to go back and rewatch anyway. And that one just popped in my head. They've been bugging me the whole episode. And then I finally was like, all right. And I was like, High on the Hog. I love this fucking movie. Let's talk about it. So, yeah. And him knowing you and everything kind of worked out.
Yeah, I love the compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you for checking it out. And I'm glad to know that there's fans of it out there, because it's a fun movie, and it was a hell of an experience shooting that with Sid and Joe Estevez and Robert Zadar and everybody else that was on that set. It was just we really made a family out of that production. We were shooting out there in Galena, Illinois for a month, and so I'm just glad that it's received by audiences out there, and I'm looking answering your questions about it and whatnot.
All right, great. And yes, if you're new here, welcome to our new subscribers. We appreciate y'all, and if you've been here before, well, you kind of know what to expect.
Got Darren in the chat already saying hello.
What's up, Darren?
I see Darren. Hello, Darren.
And Darren asks, I want to hear about working with Rob Stern on The Hot. We both have had great time working with him. Rob is an absolute rock to any production.
That he is. Yeah, so Rob Stern is a cinematographer, co-producer as well. I've worked with Rob on pretty much everything I've done since 2011. He is just an incredibly talented cinematographer, gaffer. And so all of the stuff that I've been a part of, either producing or directing, it looks good because of Rob. Simply put, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Rob. So, I know that Rob shot Darren's first movie a number of years ago before I even knew Rob. But yeah, Rob's great. And he was just as incredible on High on the Hog as anything. High on the Hog really was kind of like an opportunity, or it was kind of like a situation on set that enabled and built the relationships that I have, not just with Rob, with his now wife, Sarah Sharp, who was she was hair and makeup, I think, on that movie. And now she's a big producer, and just a lot of the other people that were working on that with us. Again, it was a tough production at points. And so when you're in the trenches together, it really builds your bond with each other. And sure. I think after that movie, Rob and I were kind of like, all right, if we can make High on the Hog together, we can do anything together. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And we're going to get to the news in just a second. But before we do, I just want to let you guys know, if you're in the live chat right now, take a cue from Darren. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, if you want to jump in on the conversation here tonight, please feel free. Just don't be weird. That's all. Just don't be weird.
Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Like, be weird, but like not in a weird way.
Yeah. So stick with us tonight. Hang out with us tonight. We we'll be talking about High on the Hog. We'll also be maybe getting the scoop from Tony here tonight about maybe his future projects, including a TV series, Better Luck Than Chuck. Not our Chuck. Well, maybe it is about our Chuck. We don't know. Who knows? We'll get the scoop on that. We'll be hearing some great stuff about Screambox, because Tony has some news on that as well, and we'll get to all that and then some. But first, we will start the program, as we always do, with the news.
More and more women are joining in to help fight Utah's wildfires. How do they feel about getting dirty with the guys? That doesn't sound.
Whoops.
Getting dirty with guys.
All right.
In Chadman's possession, he has the top 10. These are your top 10 domestic box office champions over this past weekend. What do we got?
This week we got number 10, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, bringing in $1.6 million this week, putting its 4-week run up to $34.5 million. With number 9 being The Brutalist, did $1.8 million this week, doing $12.1 for the last 7 weeks. Off to a rough
movie's like
start.
3 hours long. Like, I've heard it's really good.
Bad though.
It doesn't look bad. No, it's apparently really good, but it's 3 hours fucking long. And
I've always wondered whatever happened to Adrian Brody, and I found him.
Right. But like these days, it's hard for people to sit through in a theater like for a movie longer than an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. Especially in the theater.
I have the attention span for the muck. 6 minutes. That's it. I'm gone.
That's the way it is nowadays.
Right. Number 8, The Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan story, did $2.3 million this week, bringing up 6 weeks for $66.8 million.
Still hanging in there.
Still hanging. I still want to see it, though.
I do, too. I heard it was really good.
Always liked Bob Dylan. I don't care. Most people don't like him because of the way he sang, but
yeah, it was
I'll ever get to.
There's more to Bob.
Number 7, Moana 2, did $28 million or $2.8 million this week. I couldn't see my period. Late. I'm late. Bad time.
No, that's
The last 10 weeks, it did $454 million. And number 6 being Sonic 3 did $3.2 million this week, doing $231 the last 7.
Wow. I want to see that one.
Number 5 is the bald Mark Wahlberg movie Flight Risk. Did $5.4 million this week, doing $20.7 the last 2 weeks.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
Now I thought it was a fucking bald cap. It turns out he really did shave his head. There was a video. There was a video they put up of him doing it, and I was like, "What?" I thought for sure that was a bald cap.
You know, when you get paid $40 million, I would shave my head too.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Very true. We do that shit for free.
Yeah, when I was on Road to Perdition, that Tom Hanks movie about 20 years ago, for helping out as a PA, and I met Jude Law, and it was really interesting to talk to Jude Law because they literally not only like were his fingernails really grimy and stuff, and it was all makeup, which was really cool, but they literally plucked hairs out of his head to make his hair thinner on top. And so he had, like, if you watch the movie, you'll see he's got a really thin kind of, but still long hair on top. And I always thought that was fascinating that he just was willing to let them pluck his hair. Like, ouch.
Yeah, sounds painful.
That doesn't sound fun at all. Methods.
Right? I haven't seen that in a long time. I have to watch that again.
Good flick.
All right. Good
movie.
Got number 4. One of Them Days did 5.8 million this week, doing 34.2 the last 3 weeks.
I still don't know what that is.
It looks dumb.
I don't.
Number 3, Mufasa did 6.3 mil this week, bringing in 230 the last 7. It's not too shabby. Number 2, Companion, first week out did $9.3 million, and that movie looks very strange. It's almost like a grown-up version of Megan, I think, because
that's what it seems like.
Bot.
Yeah, it still seems interesting, but I don't have high hopes.
No, I don't either.
I'm not holding my breath, but yeah, I'll see it. See what it is. AI bullshit.
Any more of the mainstream loses me. It's all about the indie films anymore.
Yeah,
it's where you find the love. Number 1, Dogman, first week out, $36 million. Fucking killed it. About the dog that was a partner with a cop, and then the cop gets into an accident with the dog, and then they put the dog's head on the cop. Children.
Seriously?
Fuck, how did I miss that one?
That's seriously what that movie's about?
Yeah, that's what I gathered from the trailer.
How the fuck do some of these movies get made?
Oh my god!
Oddly enough, Dogman is a very successful book series for kids. Because I know my ex's kid, he had all the Dogman books, loved that shit, and I was like, all right, whatever, But that's where it stems from.
Is it?
I mean, that makes sense. You make something that kids like, you're sold.
In there.
You don't have to worry about money forever.
Is it the same people that made Captain Underpants? Is it that shit?
I'm not sure.
What? I have no idea. I don't wear them.
There's a whole cartoon. There's like a cartoon series. It's actually kind of entertaining. But they had something that was dog related. I can't remember if it was that or not, but interesting.
I don't know, but it looks weird.
Sounds weird.
Yeah, I want to see that in like real life.
But just
right.
with
like
some kind of different movie then.
Some kind of Frankenstein dog. Like, we put the dog's head on the man's body. All right.
Well, in the trailer, it's weird too, because like they're both like in the hospital or whatever, and they're both alive, and they're like, "Let's put the dog's head onto the human body." They're like, "Okay."
Just pops it in your head as an idea.
Fucking Frankenhooker dog.
So
right.
From the premise of that movie, if you take anything out of this episode, it is support independence.
True shit.
Always
true.
In other news, real quick, just a couple here. After 20 years off the air, Buffy the Vampire Slayer will be returning to TV with Sarah Michelle Gellar returning to the role. So it'll be a sequel / reboot.
She's
Why?
Late 50s?
Support independent cinema, Chuck.
Yeah. Okay, got that. But like, why even bother with Buffy the Vampire Slayer? It's over.
Luke
Done
Perry,
with.
I ain't
Been
watching
there,
it.
done it. Let's move on. Let's be creative. Let's have new ideas. I fucking hate mainstream.
No, we got to cash in money. God damn it! All
Oh
right,
yeah, that's what it is. It's cashing in, right? Yeah.
time to get
fuck
paid.
them good ideas that other people have.
It's the same thing with Dexter. All this new Dexter shit. It's like it's been a while, and now let's bring it back and cash in. That's the business, baby.
Yeah, fuck it up the ass with a fucking fist, and not cool with it. Just what's the point? What's the fucking point? Really? Money. How about creativity? Go on.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Scream 7 had some more casting news this past week. Matthew Lillard will be returning as Stu. I'd imagine it's a Billy Loomis type situation. Or did he? Did he in fact survive?
Or they're going to go the Wes Craven's New Nightmare route. That's just a few of my friends and I have been talking lately, and makes sense. So I'm kind of curious to see that, but I feel like that's going to be the conclusion. It's all going to be a movie within a movie within a movie.
Sydney's dead meat.
Yeah,
Like
Sydney's got to die in this one.
I fucking hope so. I've been waiting for her to die for a while. But
well, they said what? Scott Foley's coming back too.
Yeah, I was just
exactly.
going to say the killer from the third one is coming back as well.
And we know for sure that Roman got shot in the head. So,
I'm telling you, it's going to be Wes Craven New Nightmare. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Wes Craven New Nightmare, but Scream. That's my final answer.
Or do you think it's just a ruse where they're saying they're bringing back, they're just putting it out there that they're bringing back all these people and they're not really bringing them back. It's just to throw people off. Kind of like
if they would do that. They would.
No, they wouldn't do that.
It would cost too much shit. Scream has too much of a fucking following, especially now. Like people. No, they're not gonna do that. Now, make a good movie, that's questionable, but they wouldn't do that. They may not even do that. Who knows?
Well, there you have it. There's the news. That's all I feel like doing. I hate that segment. It's not as depressing as it is, other weeks.
Is it dark that it's weird that Tony and I haven't really talked since Pittsburgh, and then today is unexpectedly George Romero's birthday.
Oh, it is.
If he was still around.
Oh shit!
Great Romero.
Right.
Yeah. Now somebody messaging a little while.
Crazy.
Happy birthday. R.I.P.
Man, no shit. Papa Romero.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to our main event, our main attraction, if you will. But first, Tony, if you don't mind, in case some of our viewers might not be familiar with you or your work, if you can, just real fast, maybe tell the folks that might not be familiar about who you are, what you and your company does, and maybe even what are your inspirations? What drove you to want to do this for a living?
I've always been a horror fan. When I was a kid, I read, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike before Goosebumps and all that crap, but and Fear Street and everything. So more like 80s, that type stuff. And then as I got older, I got into Stephen King. Obviously, you can kind of see over my shoulder. I'm a big Stephen King fan and Dean Koontz, and started watching all the movies at the same time. I saw Fright Night probably, I think I was 7 years old, and it just changed my life. That house, Friday the 13th Part 4, those movies just really, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one. I remember watching that with my dad as a kid, and just they completely blew my mind. And I've always been a fan of just kind of the dark and the scary. And so in high school, I worked at a video store. That really solidified my desire to get into the film industry. In 2004, I had been out of college for about a year and really hated doing just the 9 to 5. So I ended up going out to Tom Savini's Special Effects School, which is where I met Chad. And we hung out there for a couple years. And that's where he helped me make my first movie. It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To. I wouldn't say I was a good special effects artist. I don't think I was terrible, but I also don't think I put enough effort into it. So as I was going there, I really wanted to go after my dream of being a filmmaker. And I decided to write a script and shoot a movie while we were going to school. And it would give all of my friends who were effects artists the opportunity to do special effects in a movie instead of, and Chad can attest to this, that in the classes, they would have you take photos of everything, but, you wouldn't have any video of anything typically. And this is before people, this is even before 2004, not a lot of my friends there had cell phones with video cameras on them yet. So no one was taking video of their special effects makeup. So I said, well, shit, if I make a movie, you guys can showcase your work in the movie. And so we got this old abandoned funeral home up on the hill in Monessen, Pennsylvania, there where the school was, and spent 2 months in the freezing cold, wet weather in a house with no electricity and no plumbing and no heaters, and basically made a horror movie. And it was crazy stressful, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. And again, Chad was a big part of that, which was a lot of fun for us to work together. And then from there, I've just been making movies ever since. I moved back to Illinois after school in 2006 and been in the Chicago suburbs ever since. I've got 4 features under my belt as director. I don't even know how many movies I've produced at this point. Short film The Muck that Dave mentioned earlier that went to South by Southwest and a lot of other big festivals that I was really proud of. I've done a couple of shows now. The first one was called World of Death, and the new version of that is called Bloody Bites, which is Bloody Disgusting's original series that features short horror films from around the world. And that now runs through Screambox, which I am the programmer of the Screambox platform, and have been working with Bloody Disgusting for 9 years now. Which is pretty awesome. I've known Brad and Tom, the guys who run Bloody Disgusting. I've known them for 15, 16 years at this point, just good dudes. And so have really appreciated being brought into that Bloody Disgusting family and now being a part of Screambox. And obviously with the Terrifier success, and we just picked up Toxic Avenger remake, which is fucking awesome. It's such a good movie. It's so much fucking fun. I'm so stoked for people to see it. We're releasing it at the end of the summer in theaters, and then it'll jump on the Screambox. And then, last year, my wife and I actually, her first foray into producing, she's done mostly art department stuff prior to that. But one night we were hanging out and she's like, have they ever made a horror trivia game show before? And I said, I don't think they have. And so she just started running with the idea and said, let's make a game show. And so we did 6 episodes of a show called Better Luck Than Chuck. If anybody is familiar with my film catalog, the movie Skeletons in the Closet has these 2 host characters that I created called the Widow and Charlie. It's basically if Elvira was married to the Crypt Keeper, and she's the one who murdered him, and she keeps his body in the basement. And so they're the hosts of this game show, and every episode she makes these 3 contestants magically appear because she's a witch. That's how her husband is alive and talking as a corpse. And they do horror trivia, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I think it turned out so incredibly well. I'm just so excited for horror fans to see it, because anybody who's a horror fan, I think, is going to want to watch this show, test their own trivia. We got really cool director videos from Mike Flanagan and Chad Villella, who did Scream 5 and 6 and Ready or Not and Abigail, and Brea Grant and Rebecca McKendry and Gary Sherman, who did Poltergeist 3 and Dead and Buried. And then we have really awesome sponsors, like our grand prize is provided by Universal Halloween Horror Nights. It's a trip to Universal Orlando or Hollywood for the winning contestant. We got Fright Rags and Severin Films and Trick or Treat Studios, to name a few, on board as well. So it ended up being a pretty badass experience. So excited about that.
Well, speaking of It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To, I still have the OG.
What number is that?
124.
124. Holy shit. Look at that.
Yeah,
dude, thank you very much. I mean, it's nice to see that. That was again, considering how crazy that was. I mean, remember trying to shoot off that potato gun filled with the bucket of blood at the girl standing in front of the door? And it took like 40 takes to get that fucking thing to work. Like, if you look at the behind the scenes video on that DVD, I edited together all of the different cuts of that, and like the one time it literally flew between them and hit the door, but didn't even touch them with like a single drop of blood, and we were all so fucking frustrated. But it worked out, and that movie did quite a bit. It won Best Feature at the Full Moon Film Festival. It won Best Feature at another festival, and I'm really sorry I don't remember which one it was. But it won a whole bunch of awards, and it really is what kickstarted my filmmaking career and showed me that I could do it if I wanted to. You just gotta, have tenacity and be willing to not make money for a long time doing it. So
that whole experience too makes you realize like how much shit actors have to go through sometimes to make a film.
I mean, everybody, it's not just actors. Like I give every actor deserves all the credit in the world because what they do to get into character and what they put themselves through when they're in character, is beyond me. I did a World War II Nazi zombie movie called A Chance in Hell, and it takes place in the winter of 1945, right before the war ends. And it's like we did a scene where there were all these people out in like a body pit that had been dug, and they were wearing pants and no shirts, and we're just dead bodies. And it was like January 10th in Chicago, which is butt ass cold. So I respect everybody who works on a movie. Making a movie is not easy at all, and it can be very fun and it can be very rewarding, but it's not easy. It's never easy. And so I think anybody who is willing to start making something, taking an idea from inception and completing it in a physical format of some form is just there's a testament to your diligence and tenacity there.
Yeah, especially like when it's cold out, because I remember in that house, you could see your breath. Like,
oh yeah. We had the one room that had the 2 heaters that I had plugged in, and that was basically sucking all the electricity that was in the house, because it had the house had a breaker box that still had the old screw-in fuses, and I think we kept like moving them around to make sure that they would work because we didn't know how to buy new ones. I don't think
that was an experience. It was fun though.
It was fun. It was a good time. And Angel ended up being the monster, and he kicked some ass as the monster.
Yeah,
that creature too was awesome. So
there was fake bloodstains in my car seat.
Sorry.
We did a watch party the other night watching that one. That was a fun one. It's my party.
You did. That's awesome.
Yeah. We had a little watch party for it, and just us, chilling on here. And
we didn't really do a video. We were just like hanging out. We're like, hey, let's get together and watch a bunch of his movies. And we're like, cool.
I'm a sucker for haunted house films or anything like that. So, House is a favorite of mine. So yeah, man, that's pretty badass. I liked it.
No, I appreciate it. Again, I mean, we made that for $10,000. That was basically my life savings at the time, and I didn't know how to use my camera. I bought a Canon XL2. This was before high definition was like at the prosumer level, so it was shot standard definition. I didn't know what gain was. I didn't know what brightness and all the different like settings on it. So I definitely wish I would have had someone behind the camera that knew more technically about it. But and there are parts of it that my buddy Mitch Martinez came in and shot some of it when we did pickups. Like the following year after we made it, the most of the movie. So those parts look better, but just across the board, I thought it was a great experience to just, again, you gotta make movies trial by fire. If you say you want to make movies and you don't just go and make a movie, I don't really know how you get the experience to actually understand what it is to be a filmmaker. And that one was cool too, because it's choose your own adventure. If you have the DVD of it, you can actually go through and use your DVD remote to choose which direction the characters go. And if you kill them, you got to start over again. So I always thought that was fun.
Yeah, I actually pulled up your watch party on Scotchworthy TV. Yeah. And that's where we watched your watch party on our watch party. So we were partying.
That's awesome. Yeah, we did that during COVID. We had just a couple of the guys over, and my buddy Rob Stern that Darren had asked the question about. He and I hosted a handful of different episodes where we watched all of our films and talked about them because, you couldn't do shit during COVID. So we figured, let's do that. But I really need to. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, I need to get this on Screambox because It's My Party's not available anywhere other than, I guess, on YouTube during my watch party. So I just figure it's so old. It's like, is anybody going to even want to watch this thing?
It's still fun.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's nice to be able to watch it in warmth.
And like you said, one of the main things I've known about this film, I've known Chad forever. And, the one thing that stuck out to me was the choose your own adventure. That concept, hasn't really been done very much in film. So whenever you see something like that, and with it being horror, it's an interesting concept to me, and that's what sticks out about this film.
Yeah, I had when I was a kid, I had one of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I actually bought a copy of it on eBay just to get it again, called Space Vampire.
Yes, that was my. I was getting ready to comment. I was guessing that was my favorite one.
I got it. I just got it.
I think it was the most popular one, actually.
It's just this thing was so fucking badass, and
that's all.
Oh yeah.
It was just one of those things where I was like, man, like I used to read that book. This book is like what, 80 pages, and I probably read it 100 times from the ages of like 5 to 9 years old. And I just always thought that Choose Your Own Adventure is such a great way. And now obviously video games are basically Choose Your Own Adventure, but like movies, other than Final Destination 3 did a version of that on their DVD where you could like see a different version of the death happening, but it ultimately still brought you to the death. And then the biggest way that they did it was on the Blu-ray of Return to House on Haunted Hill, which again, it was only on the Blu-ray release. And I think because it took up so much like data space on the disc. And I thought they did a pretty good job with it, but it was very similar to what I did with It's My Party a couple of years after the fact. And so, I think there's like 20 extra minutes in It's My Party that's not in the regular movie. It's got a cameo from Tom Savini in it, which I always thought was fun. And again, at the end of the day, I'm proud of it. I'm proud that it started my career as a horror filmmaker. And here I am 21 years later still doing it. So,
oh, yeah. Got Darren back in our chat. Said you also worked with Phil Christopher on Bloody Bites or Phil Ortiz.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. He's asking all these questions about my cinematographers. What's up, Darren? Are you wanting to know specifically about them as cinematographers? Phil Ortiz is another fucking badass. I mean, I love the guy to death. He was a cinematographer on the intro to Bloody Bites, which is, again, my Bloody Disgusting show. We shot like a little 5-minute intro to kind of introduce you to the character, which we call the Hemo Goblin or a Blood Demon. If you see the Bloody Bites poster, it's like this dude standing in front of the TV and he's just like splurting all this blood up to the ceiling. It's such a cool fucking design. Drawn by Andrew Tremblay, who's a badass artist that you have to find on Instagram if you're not following him. He also did my artwork for the It's My Party 15-year DVD release. So we shot that. Phil did a great job. I've worked with Phil on a handful of different things. Love the guy. So definitely I'm looking at doing some Screambox original shows, hopefully over the next couple of years here, as they continue to develop more original content, and want to bring Phil in on those as a cinematographer. So,
yeah, I love Screambox. I watch a lot of stuff on there.
Oh, yeah, do you have a subscription?
What?
Do you have a subscription?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, man. It's through my Prime.
The way I say it is, and I became the head programmer like 3 weeks ago. Before that, I was just doing what's called the linear channel, which is like a cable channel. You can go to screambox.com and go to live TV, and we have 24/7 horror streaming. So you can just put that on in the background, and it's just a lot of great old horror movies. Some really fun like interstitial promo stuff that I've had different filmmakers and animators put together for Screambox, very similar to like Adult Swim, early MTV stuff. And I'm continuing to try and build on that. But what I think is great now about being the programmer of Screambox as a whole is that, a subscription to Screambox, if you're just doing it monthly, not paying for the year or getting a deal on it, it's $5.99 a month. And so like I'm going to start doing monthly videos where I talk to people and say, here's 6 movies that you should watch on Screambox this month. So that way you're literally, if you watch every one of my movies that I recommend, you're paying less than $1 a movie at that point. So it's totally worth the subscription in my opinion. And there's a lot of good shit on there.
Let's see what we got in the chat here. Oh, Darren said that he just happens to know them or worked with them.
Cool. Yes, sir. Good people.
Friends over at the official Skewered Universe podcast.
What's up, guys?
Old Jeff.
What's up,
there? Tony. And also, Screambox is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate the support. You know, it's obviously Blade Disgusting's the #1 online source for all things horror, but Screambox, you know, we're still really trying to build it up and make it something that every horror fan wants to have on their television. And so we're really excited. Obviously, Terrifier 3 comes out next Friday on Screambox, and
go watch Terrifier 2 now.
What's that?
So go watch Terrifier 2 now.
You can go watch Terrifier 2. I just put a video on Instagram, well, Screambox did, where I'm giving basically the Screambox starter pack. There's a couple of different movies on there that I had not watched prior to this, and you know, a bunch of originals and exclusives that are pretty cool that people might not even know about. So, you know, again, lots of great stuff. And anytime you're looking for a recommendation, just hit me up on Instagram and ask me what you should watch, and I'll give you half a dozen titles to check out.
Oh yeah. My big thing with getting on there was I love horror clown movies ever since I was a kid, since the OG Pennywise and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So I pretty much got that subscription because there were so many like horror clown movies on there. It was ridiculous.
What do you think of 100 Tears?
I don't think I've actually seen that one. I clicked on it the one day. Yeah, I haven't watched that. I had clicked on it the one day, and then I forget what the hell even happened, and then I had to dip out.
So 100 Tears.
Actually, still in my queue.
Yes, you watch it. Like, watch it tonight or fucking tomorrow night. So my buddy Marcus Cook directed it. I met him. He was promoting that at conventions when I was promoting it to my party. So we're talking like 2008, 2009. And another standard definition, not high definition, old school movie. But Marcus is an effects artist. And he actually did the special effects for the Bloody Bites intro that Darren was just mentioning, Phil Ortiz shot. And Marcus just, what he did with 100 Tears, it's like I really respect Terrifier and what Damien did with the Terrifier movies, because he's directed them and he did the effects on them, which is so hard to do. But Marcus Cook did that 20 years beforehand with 100 Tears, and 100 Tears is violent as fuck. Like, the killer clown walks around with a big freaking butcher knife, or not butcher knife, a cleaver. That is like, I mean, this cleaver blade is probably this long and like that thick. And he just slices it, and just, I'm telling you got to watch it. It is a fun as hell movie.
I was sold the cleaver.
I'll watch that tonight.
Yeah. 100 Tears is well worth it, especially if you say you like killer clown movies. I mean, it's.
Yeah, like, I mean, I try to watch as many as I can. There's a lot of stinkers out there, but.
Oh, yeah.
Like Clown Tornado.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, the amount of classes on independent content on Screambox is outstanding. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I would love, and one of our goals this year is to beef up our catalog, and we're looking to try and get a couple of like bigger titles every month. The goal right now is to release like 2 bigger titles every month, starting in like, I want to say April or May of this year. And so we're working on collecting some stuff right now. But, you know, when I became the head programmer, I went through the entire catalog of the SVOD platform, you know, the subscription platform of Screambox. And because we don't have everything on the channel that I was programming prior to being the head programmer, and a lot of it's all censored because it's like cable channel basically. So that's why we don't have Terrifier 2 on that channel, for example. But I started building a watch list of all the movies that I would go and recommend if someone asked me what should I watch on Screambox. And when I was done doing it, I looked back at the watch list and I was just scrolling. Upon scrolling, I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot more on here that I love than I thought I would find. And I'm not saying that it's stuff that you can only find on Screambox. A lot of it you can find elsewhere too. But like, you know, movies like Hell Night with Linda Blair, that's just a fucking great 80s slasher movie in an
underrated
house, very underrated slasher movie. You know, we have Demons 1 and Demons 2, and as much as I love Demons 1, Demons 2 is fucking incredible. It's so much fun. It all takes place in that apartment building, and everybody in the apartment building turns into a demon, and it's just so badass. And so that's one that I wholeheartedly recommend. Independent movies that a lot of people haven't heard about, like Banshee Chapter. If you haven't seen Banshee Chapter, fucking watch it. It is I think it's creepy as hell. But I'll stop rambling.
No, you're good. You're good.
And a link to Screambox is in the description as well. $6 a month, man.
Get it.
And we just like spouted off how many movies that are on there.
There's so many
we should
movies
check
on
out.
there.
I lost count.
Yeah. And I'm gonna, starting in March, I'm building a collection, a curator's collection, and it'll be all the movies that I recommend. So you can find that on there. Like I said, that'll be up in March. But you can also get it if you get a year subscription. I think it's like it ends up being like $4.99 a month or something. So you save $1 if you do it for a year. But it is well worth it in my opinion because it's so cheap.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched Cannibal Claus?
I have not watched Cannibal Claus.
It sounds weird and fun.
Now, is it Claus like Santa Claus, or is it Claus like you wrote it with?
I'm thinking Santa Claus.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds about right.
No, we got a movie coming out in a couple of weeks called Cannibal Comedian. That's actually directed by a Bloody Bites filmmaker.
Okay.
So I haven't watched that one yet either, but got a couple of things coming out in a few weeks. This movie called Delicate Arch comes out on the 11th, and that's kind of like it's kind of like The Outwaters, but not really as scary. It's more like it doesn't take itself too seriously, and breaks the fourth wall type of shit. We have a Asian movie called #Manhole, where this guy falls down into a manhole and is like laying down there and can't get out. And so that one I heard, I haven't seen that one yet, but Brad Miska said it's a banger. And a handful of other titles that are coming out in the next few months. And like I said, Toxic Avenger is the big one that I'm really stoked about.
We've been talking about trying to watch that for like a year now.
For how long has it been? A year or two?
And nobody knew where it went.
You were ready for Fantastic Fest 2 years ago.
Yeah. 2 years. So 2 years. What do you know? How was it? Just a distributing issue, or
easy for you to say?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know all the details. Someone had commented to me that they were glad that it was kind of saved from somebody or some entity. I don't know if someone owned it and was not wanting to sell it and wanted the proper release, or how it worked, but I'm just really glad that we ended up grabbing it. I heard it got rave reviews at Fantastic Fest when it screened a few years ago, and a lot of fans have been wondering where it disappeared to. So here it is.
Oh, we've been very rabid about it. We had some people on here at one point saying that they found it somewhere and they obviously didn't, and we were searching high and low trying to find that fucking movie just to see if there was a possibility.
It was on Troma now, but it wasn't.
Yeah, because you would hear bits and pieces like, oh, it's going to be on here, it's going to be on there, and nothing ever materialized. So it's just kind of been in limbo.
Then there was a interview with Dinklage, and he was just like, I don't know what happened to it. They paid me, whatever.
Yeah, I got paid. I don't care.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's finally coming out, and he does a great job as Toxie. I think Elijah Wood's pretty fun in it, and Kevin Bacon is fucking great in it.
Hell yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of like Hobo with a Shotgun and Turbo Kid. Lots of really great violence and gore, but a lot of fun action, and it's Troma. What I love about it is that Macon Blair did a really good job of, and his other movies are pretty serious. You look at Green Room, you look at Blue Ruin. Those are pretty serious movies, but super visceral. And then you look at this movie that's still visceral, but it doesn't take itself seriously because it's Troma. And in that Troma universe, everything is intentionally kind of hokey and whatnot. And so I really enjoyed that. I watched a screener link of it about a week ago, and I'm super excited for people to see it. And I think it's going to drive a lot of new subscribers to Screambox.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
And you said the end of the summer, maybe August-ish.
I think it's releasing in theaters August 29th. Yeah, okay. Nationwide theater release.
Oh, wow. Okay. Then then you said Screambox will pick it up soon after, hopefully.
Yeah. They're basically going to do what they did with Terrifier 3, where it'll be theatrical and then like a wide theatrical release. From what I understand, I don't know how many theaters, but I think it's going to be pretty wide. And then they'll do TVOD, which is your transactional, where you have like Amazon, you can rent it for $20 or whatever, and then it'll jump on the Screambox and you can watch it on there if you have a subscription.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Hell
Get your
yeah.
stuff now, people. Yeah, I used to. The original used to come on USA Up All Night all the time.
Oh yeah,
the cartoon. I used to love the cartoon.
Everybody loves Toxie, man.
Stay up all night.
The cartoon had a horrible time slot. I remember it came on at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. So there was a lot of weeks I didn't catch it.
We had the Toxic Crusaders, right? That's what.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
we had that cartoon. We have it, I think, on Midnight Pulp, one of our other channels. Should I try and get that on the Screambox?
Dude, that'd be cool as shit, actually.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can get that or if the rights expired. But I knew we had it for a while in the library.
That's one of those cartoons that's one of those cartoons where like it was kind of up there, just like with real Ghostbusters for me. Like
Sure.
that was I don't know. It's very underrated, and I think that more people need to check that one out.
It's like the Tales from the Crypt cartoon.
Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah,
I love that shit too.
Yeah.
My kids love that shit too.
I missed the real Ghostbusters. I forgot about that cartoon. I used to
man,
so good.
Oh, that was a goodie.
That was a great cartoon.
It's hard to beat that one. That and Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo is always going to be number one. But real Ghostbusters is right down there, and then like right next to it's like, Toxic Crusaders and like Swamp Thing and all that shit.
Yeah.
So as head programmer out there, are you basically in charge of getting the new titles? And how do you even go about getting titles? Do you just make a list and like who do you contact? Like how does that work?
So they have our parent company is called Cineverse, and Cineverse is this huge company. They have like the Bob Ross channel and they have the Barney channel. So there's more than just Screambox. But we actually have an acquisitions team. And Brad Miska from Bloody Disgusting is one of the guys that focuses primarily on not Bloody Disgusting, on Screambox content. And so him and the other acquisitions guy, who's the real big horror fan, Brandon Hill, they're the ones who brought Terrifier basically to Screambox and got the second and third movie going. And so basically in the last few weeks I've been brought into a lot more of these conversations, which is super cool. It's especially coming from the perspective of being a filmmaker for 20 years and having to go to distributors and sales agencies to try and sell your content. And now I'm on the other side of it and kind of seeing what it looks like behind the curtain.
Yeah.
It's just, and I hope that they appreciate my perspective in that regard, because I think that all too often, especially in the independent realm, the filmmaker is taken advantage of by distributors. And, Bloody Disgusting has always been a proponent of independent horror, and I've always appreciated that about them. And Brad and Tom, they're Midwest guys, so I think that they have that Midwestern mentality of integrity and whatnot. But I love that Screambox is starting to take on that persona as well, where it's not necessarily quantity over quality anymore, and we are really starting to cherry pick independent stuff that's really cool or out there, or just not your typical shit that you're going to find everywhere else. And then you've got obviously catalog titles that you may not find elsewhere. And like I just saw, we got a bunch of the I Spit on Your Grave movies, which not my cup of tea by any means, not many people's cup of teas, but if you want to watch that kind of movie, you can go to Screambox and see it,
Those movies you have to just kind of, sometimes you got to push forward on those a little bit, but the great revenge movies, but there's that whole little area. But yeah,
I just the original one, when I worked in the video store when I was in high school, that one and the Silent Night Deadly Night were the big boxes. And so those two movies, and both of them had "You must be 18 or older" stickers on them. Yep. So I was 15 at the time. So I was just like, what is it about these movies that makes them 18 or older? And it was like, you put that on there now, it makes me want to watch them,
Yep.
Right. Of course. It's like parental advisories on a CD.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Remember the Faces of Death movies were like that too. It was like banned, and they had all the Faces of Death movies in like a special shelf that was next to the register, and like
next to the register,
like banned
really?
in all these countries and all this. And it's like, man, what is that? And any box cover that had a picture of a skull on it, just like like Evil Dead 2 or Creepshow or something like that, just attracted me.
Yep.
We were talking about cover art a couple weeks ago, how it seems to be a lost art now, because cover art from the 80s was the shit.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
my two favorites, Return of the Living Dead and Creepers, which was Phenomena, the Jennifer Connelly, Dario Argento movie. Here, hold on.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
This is I finally got this. This is like this is a Grail poster for me, and I finally found it on eBay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely love it. The bugs are eating away her face. I saw that when I was like 5 at the video store, and I was like, what is this shit? I gotta watch it. And then I had to wait 10 years before I could rent it.
All the Nightmare on Elm Street, all their cover art. Oh man, it used to look so good.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Return of the Living Dead, the artwork. I felt like on Skeletons in the Closet that artwork was very similar to Return of the Living Dead.
No, I appreciate that. That's a good nod. Yeah, I mean, we were going for very much so that typical look of like the collage of all of your cast members, all your characters. Did you guys watch Skeletons in the Closet, or have you not seen that?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Pretty sure we watched everything.
Oh, I appreciate that. You had a Tony Wash marathon, huh?
We did.
I watched that one the other night, and after we had our little watch party, and then last night I watched The Rake.
Right? Yeah, it's on Peacock now.
Yeah, fucking killer. By the way, good shit.
Thank you very much. The Rake was, again, every one of my movies has an interesting story behind it, and they're all definitely trials, but like lots of great memories and a lot of really tough memories with each of those movies. But The Rake, I'll tell you, that monster transformation at the end of that movie, it's fucking killer, isn't it?
Oh, looks
so
good.
I dug the shit out of that. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was mostly Savini students right there. Jason Kane and Brandon Murphy and Aaliyah Kraft was on that. A lot of people that went to Savini High around when Chad and I went there worked on The Rake. Really, really solid effects work on that. I was really excited on Better Luck Than Chuck. We got Mikey Rotella to sculpt the mask for Charlie. This is Charlie from Skeletons in the Closet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the silicone mask from Skeletons in the Closet. But we had a new one sculpted for Better Luck Than Chuck, and Mikey Rotella did it. Now, Mikey, he went to Sweeney School when I was there. I think he was a semester below me. So I don't know, Chad, if you remember him or not. But
like a stocky kid.
I mean, he was just, I feel like he was just stacked, he just looked like one of those guys you don't want to fuck with. And
looked like if he wasn't at school, he was in the gym.
Right. No, and he was him and a bunch of guys were in like a Misfits cover band. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So he's been out in LA now for years doing stuff. He did the chatter for the new Hellraiser movie. He sculpted the monster for Smile and Smile 2.
Nice.
So he's been working with, a lot of those guys like Alec Gillis and just all the big effects gods. And so we got him to do the mask for Better Luck Than Chuck, which made me super happy.
I'm always happy to hear people succeed that came out of there, because I really didn't do shit. Like, I just moved back here and kept doing my usual thing.
It was tough, though. I mean, every weekend there were 2 different parties to go to, if not more. And, you're hanging out with a bunch of other horror nerds. So it was hard to be working all the time. I certainly didn't do a lot of work. So I don't blame you.
Yeah. I mean, if we weren't at school, we really didn't sculpt anything. We just hung out in the studio closet making music or running amok around Pittsburgh somewhere.
Yeah. was telling my wife about that. I was like, yeah, we used to basically just sit in Angel's room, and you and him would be recording rap songs and in his closet. You know, that you turned into a sound booth. And it's good times, man. Good fucking times.
Yeah, the first time I went up there, because I heard some of Angel's music, and I was like, "Oh shit, man, this is good. This is good shit." Like, man, I'd love to go by your studio sometime. And he starts laughing. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take you to my studio right now, dude. There it is,
the fucking closet."
Yeah,
right, the closet, and then he fires up a fucking grape flavored blunt, and the rest is history. Right.
I think I've been in that same situation a couple of times.
That's what we called it too. It was Closet Case Records.
Closet Case Records. Nice.
Closet Case Records. That's it. Dude, talk about bringing back the memories. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, and then plus, like, I don't think I've been to a better Halloween party since I've left up there. Because those Halloween parties were tits.
Yeah. All the parties were a good time there.
Yeah.
And speaking of Pittsburgh, Menneson, that area, we just saw something on the news the other day that the Monroeville Mall might be getting demolished. That Walmart just bought it, so parts of it might end up getting demolished. Terrible.
I'm gonna handcuff myself to that motherfucker.
Right?
Hell no, we won't go.
Yeah, right.
It's like a milestone up there.
Well, they've been trying to do a bunch of shit in Monroeville, like the convention center where they have Steel City Con. They were about to sell that convention center off to somebody, and I think the city ended up saving it. Like the hotel that was right next door where they'd always put everybody, it completely went out. Like it was just like, boom, we're done. So they're doing a lot of stuff in Monroeville, and it just kind of sucks, because that mall has such a history to it, and to see it go or get altered in any way, it's just kind of like, oh man, brutal.
Yeah. But if they're not using it for anything, it's kind of tough to justify keeping it there if somebody wants to buy the property and do something else.
Yeah.
It's a shitty thing about, about all that. But
they do have a pretty dope Romero museum up top on the second floor.
Yeah, man. That was cool.
I haven't been. If I'm ever in Pittsburgh again, I'll have to go.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. They have it's pretty much just like nothing but Romero shit, and then they had like an Evil Dead room.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. They had like the recorder and everything in there, and like pieces of the barn and the shed and everything. It's pretty dope.
I was happy that we came on that shit. So High on the Hog. All right,
sorry, Chuck.
I was like, we're 57 minutes in. When are we going to talk about Hog?
Oh yeah.
The movie.
So out of curiosity, because I saw a couple of influences, so I'm curious what you'll say about this. Is like, what were your what were the motivations, the influences, and the way that you went about doing High on the Hog? Because for me, like I see a kind of in almost like a Rob Zombie kind of esque way with some things. So I was kind of curious about like what influenced you to want to go about the ways you did with it, because I love it. I think it's fucking great. So
thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, it was definitely a labor of love. I got hired to direct that movie after my buddy Jason and I got hired to do the special effects on the movie, and I guess they weren't happy with the director, so they brought me in because one of the producers had seen A Chance in Hell and really thought that was exceptional, so she wanted to have me take over. And it started out as just any other production, and on the fifth day, the producer that was on set actually walked off set, and so Sid Haig and this guy Bob Farster, who owned the farmhouse, and Rob Stern and myself basically like got together, and the executive producer Kevin called us and was like, "What are we going to do? What's going to happen now?" And the four of us said, like, "Look, you make all of us producers on this, and we're going to take over. We'll talk to the rest of the crew, and if everybody's down to stay." I basically figured out we would have to shoot like 2 more days worth of content that we missed, and or that we had to reshoot for certain reasons. And we said, if everybody agrees to stick around, let's just do it. And so Sid and I got up in front of the entire group and said, look, guys, here's the situation. If you're all willing to stick it out with us, let's keep making a badass movie. And from day 5 on through the rest of the shoot, I think we were there for 24 days. Everybody was living in a roadside motel together. Every night after we finish shooting, we go back and we just get fucking shit wasted in the parking lot outside of the motel. And, just some amazing memories of working with just some true, like, not just film, not just horror, but film legends. I mean, Sid Haig is just one of those people that I wish he would have stuck around longer. I wish that I would have had an opportunity to work with him again. We talked to him and his agent about being in Skeletons in the Closet, and I regret every day since then that we didn't cast him to be in it, in the long run. But just a really solid dude, and became a really good friend of mine and a big proponent of me and my career as a filmmaker. And Joe Estevez, same thing. At one point he told the producer, he said, what you've got here is lightning in a bottle, with the team that you have assembled for this. And Joe Estevez, he's obviously Martin Sheen's brother, but I would hope he doesn't hear me say that, because I feel like he probably fucking hates it when people say that. But like, the dude's been in like 400 movies. And, and then Robert Zadar was such he was on set 3 days. But goddamn, did I fucking love hanging out with him when I was.
He's great.
Maniac Cop himself.
Maniac Cop himself. Well, as much as I do love Maniac Cop, he was the bad guy in Tango and Cash.
That's what I always think of too.
Yeah.
I mean, you go up against Stallone and Kurt Russell. Come on, you're a motherfucking badass. Yeah. You go up against those guys. So to answer your question, sorry, Chad said some of our guests don't talk at all. I talk too much.
No such thing. No such thing.
So basically, to answer your question, we shot the movie. It was very, when we put together an edit of it, it was very much more like a drama, like a crime drama, than it was an exploitation grindhouse movie, which is really what the script kind of was supposed to be. And what I know the executive producer wanted it to be. And it's not that any of us didn't want it to be that way. It's just that as we were shooting it, the characters and the actors and myself, everybody just kind of evolved. And, when you work with personalities like a Sid Haig, who is Sid fucking Haig, and he says, oh, well, what do you think about doing this? You want to lend your ear to that advice, because he's not just saying, I want to do this for the sake of making my character more interesting. He's doing it for the sake of saying, look, I've got 50 plus years of experience under my belt, and I'm telling you that this would probably make either the scene better, or this character better, or the movie overall better. And I'm so fucking glad that we did what we did, and that we all experienced what we experienced making that together. Again, one of my best memories, one of my best experiences in 20 years of making films, being out in Galena, Illinois, shooting that movie with some really good people and some genre icons,
For sure.
I mean, you can't argue with Spider Baby. Sid Haig to me is kind of like the Lemmy of films. Because Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, he once said, he's like, I remember when there was rock and roll. Like, I remember when rock, and I feel like Sid's kind of the same way. Because he was also, people ignore the fact he was also an awesome drummer. He was on a few albums back in the day. As a drummer, I pay attention to this shit. He was on one or two Yardbirds albums. I got to meet him one time, and it wasn't. I still feel fucking stupid. I wish I got to meet him one more time, because I was a fucking fanboy like a motherfucker. But I was, yeah. But how do you not go with his suggestions?
Well, the great thing about him, you said you were fanboying when you met him. It's like, the great thing about Sid is that he was always humble. He was funny and witty, would talk shit to people if they brought it upon themselves, I think. But
Yeah.
he was always incredibly humble, and he was always very grateful for the fan base that he had built up over the years. And I used to sit at conventions with him earlier on, like right after we shot the movie, for a couple of years. I would sit and I would like kind of basically handle his money for him while he was signing autographs. And every single person, he gave them time. He took pictures with them. He didn't have a problem with, you know, with their weird requests sometimes. He was just a very good person, and just very appreciative again of his fame and his acclaim in the horror genre specifically. So yeah, I was very grateful for that opportunity. It turned out a hell of a lot different than I ever thought it would turn out. But and when on day 3 of that set, when I was living on an hour of sleep a night and just dealing with more stress than I probably had ever dealt with at that point in my life, and I was 32 when I directed that movie, I look back on it still and I say, like, damn, like those are still some of the best days of my life. Easily. So.
Yeah, I tell you know, I've got kind of a reputation as being a stoner gore king in the book world, the underground book world a little bit. So anytime that I have any of my stoner friends or anything or whatever, like, you know, hey, what's a good pot movie or whatever, High on the Hog, man. I think it was around the time, I think it was after he passed. Maybe it might have been a little before, whatever. It was around that time. I was having a marathon of Sid Haig movies. I was like, all right, we got to, so it had, okay, so it was happening afterwards. And I was trying to find the movies I hadn't really seen, you know, and High on the Hog, I was like, that's just a cool fucking title for one. And then looking about what it was about, I was like, well, there's a very Charles Manson-esque kind of feeling to just the plot of the film, and then seeing it, it is probably one of my favorite movies to pack a bowl tight and check out, man. 100%. So I always recommend it to people, man. Always.
I sincerely appreciate that. I know all the people that worked hard on that movie over the years really appreciate that. And, you know, I really do. Like, I have to give a lot of credit to the editor, Ben Lewandowski, on it. He came in when we did a re-edit of the movie, and Ben and I worked on Skeletons in the Closet together, and he had done what I would consider the director's cut of The Rake, which hopefully one day will see the light of day. He just kind of presented some really batshit ideas to Kevin on how he would re-edit the movie. And we went and we rewrote and shot like some new sequences, like the beginning of the movie where there's the strip club with the government official in the strip club. And, you know, some different pieces like that. All the DJ stuff with Ellie Church, the amazing Ellie Church.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the
I
Mary
love
Jane.
that aspect.
Yeah, all of that stuff was shot in 2016, 4 years after we made the movie. And so we shot all that stuff, and Ben and I basically sat in the editing room and, you know, put all of that together. And he was a master at building insanity. I'll put it that way. This is a guy who drinks 20 Red Bulls in a day and just puts all of that on screen. And so,
oh God,
but it was fun, you know. I mean, like there's like that part where Sid's getting his dick sucked, and like, you know, it cuts to a shot of a girl deep throating a banana. And like I was like, hey Ben, can we try and find some footage of a girl deep throating a banana to swap in place of a sensor bar? And so we just, him and I had a hell of a lot of fun for, God, I want to say it probably took a year and a half maybe to edit that movie. We had a lot of fun doing that and coming up with all the crazy sequences, and the, you know, Steve Verdino, who did all the color correction and degradation to it, all the film look, did such a great job of just making it look gritty and fucked up. And so it's just, I don't know, it's a fun movie.
It's definitely one movie that I definitely need a physical copy of at some point. Like, it needs to go in the collection. I still collect DVDs, and only a certain few I ever really buy anymore or whatever. And that is definitely one that it gets. I mean, I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times at this point since I
Fuck yeah.
discovered it. So it needs to be a physical copy on that shelf in there. You know what I mean?
Fuck
It's
yeah.
good shit, man. It's so good. It really is a fun watch.
I'm pretty sure you can get a Blu-ray from the website.
Along with
and-
a shirt.
Yeah, you could probably get it on Amazon now too.
That's no fun.
Can you get a shirt of it? Is there other shirts of the movie?
Yeah,
I think there might still be on the website and stuff too. The producer and I don't talk anymore, so I think he's got all that stuff on his website. But yeah, I think it's on thehogmovie.com or something, so you can go there and pick all that stuff up. Definitely support it. It's a good movie.
Now, the thing that came up with us was it says the release was 2019, and you had mentioned that you guys were filming about 2012, 2013. What happened in that span of time to where you filmed a lot of the stuff, and then you said you got it edited a few different ways over the years, and then getting to all the way to 2019 and putting it out? You know, kind of walk us through that process.
I mean, you know, what I can basically say is that we had a cut of the movie, I want to say about 2014, that we started shopping around, and I don't think that it was really receiving a lot of interest because it kind of fell in a weird, like, cross genre, you know? It's supposed to be grindhouse exploitation. It's supposed to be a stoner movie. It's supposed to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll and guns, basically, and the edit of the movie was a lot more linear in terms of storytelling, and it didn't have all the craziness of the cutting and stuff in the edit. So I don't think that it didn't find the right distributor to give it the love that it deserved. And so then, like I said, we started discussing the idea of recutting it and adding new footage in like 2015, which is also when most of us were working on the rake. And so, a lot of us were not focusing on that because we were doing the rake instead. And then in 2016, that summer is when we shot the pickups for High in the Hog. And then Ben went to work editing it. He would come down and I lived with the cinematographer Rob and our buddy Jim, who does like a lot of lighting and camera work. The three of us guys lived together, and so Ben would come down and stay with us for like 4 or 5 days at a time, and we would just sit in the editing room and work on it, and we used to go up, Ben and I would go up to my dad's lake house in Wisconsin and bring up the computer, and we would edit at my dad's lake house for a week, and just drink beers and watch shitty movies and edit. And so it was a long process because it just took a lot of time, and independent movies, you don't have a huge budget. So you can't pay somebody to get something done in a typical, well, you're going to work on this as if it's your day job, so I'm glad it finally came out. I'm so fucking glad that Sid got to see it before he passed. We had the premiere in, I think, April of 2019, and we all went out to LA and got to sit in a theater with Sid and watch it and hang out with him a little bit afterwards. And I saw him, I think, 1 or 2 times at a convention after that, and then he passed away. So, but the movie's out there, and he lives on in his body of work, which is huge, from MacGyver to fucking, I forget. I
mean, fucking even before that with fucking
dude, he's been in so many TV shows and everything, man.
Spider Baby again, Spider Baby. I mean, like
Jackie
way back there with fucking
Jackie Brown.
I mean, he's always going to be the pimpin' coffee.
Yeah, and he was one of the henchmen, and I don't was it Diamonds Are Forever? He was.
Yep.
Was it Diamonds Are Forever? Yeah, I mean, he's one of the fucking henchmen in a James Bond movie. Like,
hell yeah,
who can say that?
Mm-hmm. Galaxy Affair with Robert Englund. That shit's so good.
I can't remember what movie it is, but I'm a big fan of the animals. And there's a video of we got to get out of this place, and it's from some movie, and I can't think of what it is. But the animals were in it because back then, they would have like bands play on the beach or whatever the fuck, and the animals were actually playing like in this demon weird mouth thing, and Sid was the one that introduced him. And I don't know what movie it's from. I can't figure out what the fuck it's from, but like I remember when I got into him and I saw that, I was like, oh shit, it's Captain Spaulding himself.
Yeah, I remember seeing that movie too. So I want to say it's like is something Beach Party or something like that. I want to say, and he plays like the proprietor of like a roller rink or something that's hosting that party. I think that's what you're talking about.
Okay, it makes sense actually.
Yeah,
yeah.
Even
Man,
Galaxy. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, like when it comes down to legends, you know, and of course, you know, Quentin Tarantino was, you know, kind of a big thing for him coming back into sorry, hitting the mic, but coming back into films and stuff. But man, that guy really is like I don't know. He was just, there was just something about his presence on screen every time. Like you paid attention to him, even with the smallest parts that he was on, smallest roles. You always paid attention. But he just had always a good thing to me. You know, at Foxy Brown, like he was the fucking judge, and you're like, oh shit. You know, it's like, I don't know. He's just one of those actors that when he's on screen, you always pay attention to. And yeah.
Oh, I forgot he was in PHX 1138 too. I forgot about that.
Yep. Yeah. He was, and I've never seen that, but he's got one of the bigger roles, right?
Yeah. What was his name? NCH. Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I think I was back in college was the last time I watched that movie.
Yeah. But even like Chad brought up Galaxy of Terror, you know, it's like he says one line in the entire movie.
Yeah.
But you look at the ensemble in that film, and early Robert Englund, and you know, to name just one person that's in there besides him, and it's pretty awesome to see him in that movie. And it's such a batshit movie. Like you want to get high and watch a couple of Sid Haig movies. High on the Hog and Galaxy of Terror are the way to go. You know,
I watch that whole movie from start to end on my exercise bike. That's weird. I was running.
Now
from creatures, man. How'd it go?
Was Sid Haig always the choice for Big Daddy, or did you have any other different casting ideas before you actually put him or Robert Zdar in place?
Honestly, I didn't have anything to do with the casting of the film. I was brought on as director after it had been cast, and that's why I accepted the role as director, because it was an opportunity to direct. At the time, I'd already directed Tom Savini, but that was a half a day of shooting. And, you know, I wanted an opportunity to work with somebody that I could say, oh, you know, I directed Tom, you know, somebody other than Tom Savini in a bit role. And so he had been cast, and Joe Estevez and Robert Zadar had been cast. The two of them got cast in a lot of movies together because they were friends. So they would try and like get like, well, if you're going to cast me, you should get my buddy Joe, or you should get my buddy Robert, from what I understand. And so all three of them were involved, and it's pretty funny because I had I had a guy who I knew that I worked with. He was kind of a prick. And he had worked with Joe Estevez, and he said, he's like, oh, you know, 2 weeks before I went out to shoot this movie, he like meets up with me. He's, oh, you know, just be warned, you know. And you know, apparently Joe Estevez and Robert Zadar were kind of tough to work with when they were younger in their career. And it worried me initially going into it. Like, am I going to have to deal with personalities that I can't handle because I don't have the pedigree as a director yet? But ultimately, I'll tell you what, Joe Estevez gives respect and gets when he demands respect, if that makes sense. You know, it's like if you respect him, he'll respect you back. And if you show him that you know what you're doing, you're not a jackass, he's going to respect you and he's going to listen to you. And so I was very happy that Joe worked well with me. Again, Sid said the same thing to me. He's like, you know, look, like you may not have a lot of experience as a director, but you know what you're doing, and you can take care of your crew, and that's very important. And when you do that, it earns the respect of someone who's been doing this for as long as these guys have. And like I said, Robert Zadar was only on set for 3 days, but I genuinely loved hanging out with him when he was on set. He was fun. He had no problem like taking the silly fucking lines that I gave him, like that whole flapjack special thing that he's doing with the waitress and with the pancake and stuff. He, I don't know, he just was a lot of fun to work with. And I have to say, because I always say it every time somebody asks me about Sid Haig, one of my favorite things is that I have a Sid Haig line that I wrote for him when he's standing at the chicken coop with the girls, and he's like, another fucking name that starts with an L.
Yes.
That's not what I wrote. I didn't write that. He said, it's hotter than a butt cheek sandwich out here. I'm going fishing with my new fishing lure.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that he fucking said that. And he
Fuck
didn't
this,
look at it.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, he didn't look at it and say, Tony, what the fuck is this? He's like, all right, I'll say this. And he goes and he says it, delivered it in Sid Haig grace.
That rewatching it the other night, I actually, that was a scene that I sent a buddy of mine because we I'm watching this movie kind of shit, and that was the scene I had to send him. I sent it to like 4 different people actually because it's just so funny. Like it just kind of just shows like Sid's humor.
Yeah,
like, it just kind of he just I don't know. Yeah, man, it was good shit. That's probably one of my favorite scenes actually. Crack me the fuck up every time.
What the word is?
Because the rest of the movie, Sid's pretty chill, and I feel like in that scene, that's kind of more of Captain Spaulding coming out there. You can see the similarities between the characters. It's like, yep, that's Sid. He turns it on there.
What I really love about it with Sid is that I don't feel like Sid's been given or was given a lot of opportunities to really show his acting prowess in films. And in High on the Hog, for those who haven't seen it, I don't want to give a spoiler, but about halfway through the movie, it's a stark contrast in theme. It goes from being a real stoner, just kind of fun movie. All of a sudden, it gets super dark. And, the family that Sid Haig has at his farm, kind of the Manson family, if you want to call them, although they're not, they're just potheads, trying to live their life and grow their weed, and defend his farm that's been in his family for generations. Like, when the shit hits the fan and things start changing, there's a moment where he's in a church and he's talking about his mother who was beat by a pimp and put in jail for the night because the cops thought she was a hooker. And she ends up dying in prison overnight. And Sid musters up emotions that you will not see in any other Sid Haig film, at least that I've seen at this point. And I always know, I know that he was always very proud of that moment, of that scene. And he was very happy to have had an opportunity to have been able to, extend those emotions on screen. Because most of the time it's chicken fucking chicken, and all that shit. It's typical Captain Spaulding stuff. So
he's usually more of an anger kind of person, than in there you actually see like the soft side of him,
the heart. Yeah.
There's a lot of good scenes in the film with him in it that kind of shows like his his being the caring, like hey, welcome to our family, blah blah blah. But the minute you fucking cross him, and it goes to that like, all right, we're getting our guns, we're ready to fucking blaze. Da, da, da. Like I love that fucking shit in the fucking movie.
Yeah,
like
well,
I'm a big fan of heist movies and movies where it's like there's a detective who's like he's like hard on somebody getting fucking busted, and this movie just kind of fit all my some of my favorite like check marks, And the funny thing is about Joe Estevez, because I'm an idiot. Okay, this is where I get to admit how stupid I can be. So I've seen this movie a few times, right? Like I said, and I remember when I first watched it, I didn't pay attention to the credits as much ever, apparently. And I was like, man, I could see Martin Sheen fucking playing this role.
Weed is a hell of a drug.
There's something about this guy. He reminds me.
Yeah, like he just has a great, but like he really does like kick ass, like a great lineup of actors, man. But like I just feel like an idiot because I mentioned these guys, and I was like, was anybody else aware that was Martin Sheen's brother? Anybody? No. Okay, I feel like dumb.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because there's a lot of people or places that have hired him just because
he does a great job.
Yeah, they've hired him for voiceovers because he sounds so much like his brother. It's like, we're not going to spend the money on Martin Sheen. We're just going to get his brother.
Yeah, I've heard that too, which is interesting. Like, who knows if he likes that or not? I don't know, but But it was cool working with him nonetheless. And a lot of the people on that movie, another guy I just talked to actually the other day, Jesse Boyd, who plays Breezy, the drug dealer, the cross-dressing drug dealer. Which, God, what a fun character to build with him. We sat outside this bar one day and just talked about that character and how we saw it portrayed. And so he had a lot of fun with that. And, he was in Mindhunter. He was in Walking Dead. He was in Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends. I think he was in Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends. Yep.
Yeah.
He was the officer.
And tons of other stuff. I mean, he's been in a lot of shit. So it's just cool to again, see people like you who recognize this movie for what it is and recommend it to your audience, because it's just a lot of fun and it's something that people should watch and pay attention to. I'm trying to get it on Screambox
Hell yeah.
We'll see if we can get it on there. But
I think it's a great.
Yeah, I had to buy it on Voodoo Fandango.
I think it's a great fucking movie. I think it's kind of like the like I said earlier, it's a great pot movie, obviously. And in all actuality, like there's been times where I've watched this movie and I go, I wish I wrote this. Like this is splatterpunk, like a motherfucker when it comes down to it.
I'm sure Kevin would really appreciate hearing that.
There's the whole, you got the pot thing in, which works for me, and the Stoner King thing. Like it has those moments of like trauma, like some of the gore or some shit. You also have like the detective noir thing and like the hard on, like to get this fucking guy, stupid shit. Like there's everything in it. Like I really do love this fucking movie, man. Like good job.
Well, it's edited like a music.
Right in your asshole. Sorry. Yeah, it's a good fucking movie, man.
Dude, you can butter my balls as much as you want. I love it. And again, I'm just the director of it. I did not do everything on this movie by any means. There was a lot of really talented people that helped make this movie what it is. So I think anybody that is interested in checking out a cool film, please give it a watch and support all of us, because this is what we love to do, and we just want to keep doing what we love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. This is one of those movies, you see with your buddies. This is one of those movies that you would have picked up at the video store when, the summer's off from school. Your dad took you and your buddies up to the video store. This would be one of those movies you rented for, what was it, 5 days for $5 or whatever it was back in the day.
Yeah. Let's get pizza and go to the video store, kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a movie you watch with your buddies. And
what's pot?
And then you have a bunch of questions when you go home the next day.
I was talking, I forgot who I was talking to about it, but the 5 movies for 5 nights for $5. Mm-hmm. We had a video store in town that had that same deal, and I rented. I remember had the weekend with my buddies. I was like 13. And it was the first time that I was able to like rent movies by myself, and no one was going to tell me what I could rent or what I couldn't rent. And it was like all my guy friends were like, all right, you're going to go and rent them because you're the movie guy. So I rented, and I'm sure they probably wanted me to get a bunch of action movies. I rented Lost Boys, Silver Bullet, Maximum Overdrive, Sleepaway Camp 2, and fucking Graveyard Shift.
Oh shit! Oh man!
I came. I came. That's a good fucking list. These motherfuckers know how much I love Graveyard Shift too.
Yeah,
right out of the park.
His last pick was Graveyard Shift, because we just started doing this at the beginning of the year, where each week it's kind of like dealer's choice. We all pick our own movies and then we watch them and then talk about them. So his first pick was Graveyard Shift, and then now High on the Hog. So you guys are simpatico.
Yeah, I'm fucking man. Brother, sink. No, I literally, and it's funny because when Chad hit me up, I didn't know that you guys had watched Graveyard Shift, and I literally watched it last week too, because I finally plugged a VCR into my TV. And so my wife, I was like, hey, can we watch one of my VHS tapes? Because I've got them all on a rack in my basement. And so we picked out Graveyard Shift, and I think she fell asleep during it. But
such a fun movie. Such a great movie.
Such a good
so
movie.
Good.
Yeah, so good. The monster in that is so cool.
Yeah, my kid, I actually introduced her to it, and she she found herself very sympathetic with the monster. I was like, what?
Oh,
she's like, oh, look how cute he is. I was like, well, look in about 5 minutes.
The rat bat.
Yeah,
the rat bat. Warwick is the real monster in that movie. We all know.
Yes, we were saying the same
Graveyard
thing.
So good.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were talking about Brad Dourif too, how good he was in that movie. One of your favorite movies from him too, right, Chuck?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know, I love his whole monologue with Warwick.
He has that tear running down his.
Yeah,
running
like
down
you
his cheek.
believe him. You know, it's definitely a lot of people give me shit for it, but it's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. Even though like the story itself is probably better, but I love that fucking movie. God,
Oh, same here. I like my one little like bout of like fame, I guess you could call it, is the movie A Chance in Hell I was telling you about. I had a company that wanted to turn it into a feature back in 2010, and they basically to the financiers that they were talking to, they're like, they needed to prove that the movie was going to be managed by someone who knew what the fuck they were talking about, because at the time I had only directed It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To, and so they're like, in case this no-name director has a complete meltdown on set, you need to have somebody who's going to be able to manage him and take over if he screws up. And so they hired Ralph Singleton to be the executive producer on it, and I was like, dude, I get to work with fucking Ralph Singleton. I mean, the guy, not only did he direct Graveyard Shift, he produced fucking Pet Sematary, which is
that's another favorite. Yeah.
So
I saw Stephen King speak a few years back, and he actually bashed Graveyard Shift so bad that like at the end of it, my buddy that I went with, he was like, "Oh, that was kind of brutal on your favorite movie, wasn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, I love it, but it's like, God damn it! All right, fine.
He hates most of his movies. He likes Dr. Sleep, which I'm obviously a big fan of Dr. Sleep too, but big Mike Flanagan fan. But I think Stephen King, he pretty much hates most of the things that were made off of his books, and I don't blame him. You know, his book, he spends a year writing a book, and then someone goes and butchers it with a script that sucks.
Oh shit! A year? He spends 3 weeks. He spends 3 weeks. He's got like 4 books out.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I wish I could write like him. That's a bucket list item for me.
Same, completely same. You gotta. It's all down to the ritual. It's all down to the schedule, and yeah, if it gets fucked up, it takes a little longer for things to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is a lot of fun. Just this is what we do, man. We just bullshit about movies. Well, we're all over the place, but
yeah,
it's okay. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun too, Tony. This is good stuff.
Oh no, look, you guys are buttering my balls. Like I said, I appreciate it. I appreciate the compliments, and I'm sure my friends, if they actually listen to this, which they probably aren't because they've heard me fucking talk a million times about all these movies, but you know, I'm sure they would appreciate the compliments too. Now, you said you watched everything else. What did you think of? You said you liked The Rake. What did you think of The Rake in general, and what did you guys think of Skeletons in the Closet and whatnot?
Skeletons in the Closet was funny. I liked the host. That was good banter.
That was my favorite one.
That was good. That was good shit. The Rake I thought was just generally creepy. It takes a lot for a movie to actually creep me out. And there were some parts in it that actually I was like, ooh, okay, give me some Shudder. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely recommend anybody seeing that shit. It's good stuff. I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
And the way it's shot, it looks so clean. Like you guys did such a good job.
Very clean. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob's a good cinematographer. I keep saying he is just a master at his craft. Yeah, The Rake was something that like I've always wanted to make a true horror movie, and I feel like even though It's My Party it has its scary moments, it's like it still has that Night of the Demons, Evil Dead creep show vibe. That's what I say when I tell people what it is if they want to compare it to something. Yeah. Although those are all classics, so I feel terrible trying to compare it to those. But
well, Night of the Demons, that was the first thing that went through my head when we were watching it. Actually, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that definitely played a big part in terms of like how I built my story for It's My Party. But I never really had made a true horror movie, and The Rake was meant to be Alien meets The Shining. It's all about atmosphere. Yeah. It's all about building tension and mixing with that really good practical special effects. And so, you know, there's some pretty cool sequences in there with the death scenes, and that monster is just vicious as fuck. I loved the Rake monster.
Yes,
he looked amazing. Like, and then like just like the backstory on him as well, like how the kid's pretty much telling his little sister like some kind of horror tale, like with his fucking flashlight pointed up, like he's kind of like scared, but then you realize like it's a real thing that people talk about.
Yeah,
like that was pretty dope. And then just to see it in actual form was amazing, because like I said, like the makeup and like the prosthetics and everything on that just looked great, and especially like you said with the transition to him forming out of the Ben's face and everything, like that whole shit was crazy looking.
Yeah,
while watching The Rake, I was like, man, that girl looks really familiar. And then I thought about it, and I was like, it's Darcy from fucking what's that fucking show called?
Degrassi.
Yeah. Yeah. My one of my exes was a big fan of that show, and I was like, that chick looks so familiar, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh fuck, it is her.
Like she's also in It's My Party and also in Skeletons in the Closet.
So I didn't even notice that shit.
No, he's talking about Shanae Grimes. Darcy.
You mean Darcy?
Darcy, the actress. That's the actress of Darcy Wood. Yeah, she's been in pretty much most of my movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shanae was pretty cool to work with too. I never watched Degrassi, but you know, she was in the beginning of Scream 4, and I always thought that was super cool. It's her and I don't remember the other girl that's sitting on the couch with her. You know how they start every Scream movie where they're like watching it or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, I always thought that was a really cool thing. And Rachel Melvin, I mean, she was in Zombievers, which if you haven't seen Zombievers, fucking
that shit's hilarious.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and she was in Dumb and Dumber 2.
Not a good one.
A couple other things. So yeah, you know, that was definitely a passion project. You know, we were trying to develop a feature-length version of The Muck after it went to all the big film festivals, and after about a half a year of trying to get the money for it, we didn't really know anybody who had money at the time, and I still don't necessarily. But you know, back in 2014, when we were trying to get that out there as a feature, it would have cost a fair amount of money, and we just didn't have the means to get that kind of money raised. And so we kind of said, you know what, let's put it on the back burner, and I think we're going to focus on something else. And I went over to my buddy Jason's house, who is my effects supervisor, and he's like, why don't we do a fucking movie on The Rake? And I didn't really know much about it. I knew Slender Man, and I knew the whatever Russian sleep experiment, but I had only heard of the name The Rake. And so he let me read the creepypasta on his phone. He pulled it up, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And so I don't know. It just grew from there, literally like a virus. And that was like October of 2014. By December, we had a script written with my buddy Jeremy, and I wrote a script. And then we were shooting come April of 2015. And it was, again, like I don't really want to get into all like the craziness of making a movie and the lessons you learn the hard way. But just that, like finding that house, perfect location, finding, you know, the effects team to build the monster with Jason, perfect group of talented people. You know, the cast did a great job. The cinematographer, again, it's just a cool movie. I really like The Rake.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to do a director's cut one day.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see that, because that movie was fun. I watched that last night as well.
Well, and there's probably like 50 minutes of it that you haven't seen because they cut it out of it without me having approval. So, you know.
Yeah, and like all the actors in that really did a really good job, especially the guy that played Andrew. Like he was a straight dick, and like you thought he was a straight dick.
Yeah.
Joey, the funny thing about Joey is that he's like Meisner trained. I think he's Meisner, but regardless, he's method. So he was Andrew on and off set, and to the point of where people were like, "Dude, he's being a dick to me." And it's like, I mean, that's his process, you know. Sorry.
And the guy that played his brother, he looked really familiar too, and I couldn't place where I knew him from.
Stephen Brody.
Yeah.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I don't know what larger roles Steven's been in, but he was in The Lone Ranger in a bit role and a couple other things. But again, yeah, Steven, another good actor and just, you know, good person to have on set with you. All around, you know, we shot that for 19 days in April and May, or March and April of 2015, and you know, again, just had a family built out of it. You know, one night we had a tornado warning, so we all had to get down to the basement of this house and hang out for like an hour and a half together, and just crazy shit like that you have to deal with, you know, when you're making a movie. So, but yeah, I think Skeletons in the Closet, I'm glad you guys enjoyed that and you watched it, because that is of all my films, that's probably my favorite, because it was, I mean, that's like $20,000 budget. You know, I mean, we made that movie for no money. That's not including the sweat equity. All of us did it for nothing. We didn't get paid. But that was just us all basically like on weekends, more or less, just saying, hey, let's go make a movie and, you know, put it together. And it's the first chance that you get to see these characters, the Widow and Charlie, which I've had in my head since college. And I've always wanted to have them somewhere. And so I'm glad that I was able to use them in Skeletons in the Closet. And now we have them again resurrected in Better Luck Than Chuck as game show hosts. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that to come out in the near future, and for people to see the reprisal of the Widow and Charlie and their crazy antics. So,
yeah, and I think
go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, you know, anytime I've looked and read reviews or anything like that, that's what stands out is the Widow and Charlie. Those characters really resonate with people, so it's nice to see them coming back in some form. And you know, Ellie Church, you know, obviously she's in High End in the Hog as the DJ. You know, she does such a great job. So you know, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Ellie does not play the Widow in the game show. We did do a recasting. Adam does return as Charlie, but there's a new girl named Alexis Alada, who is a very talented actress out of Chicago here, who plays the Widow in the game show, and she's the perfect game show host. You know, she from the second we saw her audition, we were like, she's great. You know, so but we're really excited for the characters to come back and you know, have people see more of the Widow and Charlie. And in the game show dynamic, it's really fun because Charlie like razzes the contestants if they don't know shit, if they get questions wrong. He gives them hard.
He'd have to.
Yes. And Adams is really witty. Like he's super quick and on his game. So like we would be shooting and it was all like live recorded because these contestants are not actors. They're real horror fans that we brought in from all over the United States to compete. Oh, it's super cool. Yeah, we had people from Massachusetts and New York and New Jersey, all the way down to Florida, all the way to Seattle and California. And so they all came into Chicago and participated. And it's like if somebody got something wrong or somebody said something, Adam would just be like that on them. And the great thing about then the Widow is that it's like she's taking it seriously. And so she never broke out and started laughing, even though Charlie says some really funny shit. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm really excited for people to see it. And it's the cool thing about Better Luck Than Chuck is it's a game show that like it's for horror fans, but it's for horror families, because all of us as horror fans, we want our kids to love horror as much as we love horror. That's why when you go to a horror convention, you see people walking around with their babies dressed up like Chucky or dressed up like Georgie Dendro from It, wearing a raincoat with one bloody stump sitting there. And I can't tell you how many 5-year-olds I've met with one arm, you know. and it's like the great thing about Better Luck Than Chuck is you can watch it with your kids, because it's PG-13. It's not like, Terrifier, where you've got people getting their faces sawn off and stuff. And so I'm really excited for a new generation of horror fans to be to identify with the genre through The Widow and Charlie. And you know, I'm so excited for people to see it when it comes out, and you know,
is there a timeline? When can we expect it to come out?
We're looking at later this year. Can't really release any specifics just yet, but we're looking at later this year. And you know, lots of really exciting stuff to go along with it. But yeah, again, just really stoked and hoping that we get 30 seasons out of it, you know, like most good game shows.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went and started watching some Bloody Bites, and I was like, damn, there's a lot of seasons.
Yeah,
I got like the show's been running so long.
Yeah, season 13 comes out in March. Some really cool short films coming in that. And we've got our 100th episode in season 13. I got a really great 420 episode. It's actually playing on Friday, 418, but I'm doing on Screambox TV. I'm doing a whole 420 stunt for that weekend. So it's going to be all sorts of fun, just batshit movies to just kind of couch lock yourself and watch all weekend. And our episode features one of my good friends, Tom Newell. He had a short film called Full Moon Glory Hole, produced by Radio Silence. Radio Silence are the guys that did Abigail, Ready or Not, Scream 5, and Scream 6. And so they produced this short film about a werewolf that is in a bathroom with a glory hole, and I don't want to tell you what else.
Wow.
That's part of our 420 episode, so we've got a real bang.
I look forward to that one.
Sold.
But yeah, Bloody Bites has been going for 4 years now. And we do 4 seasons every year. We do eight episodes a season. And like I said, it's short horror films from all over the world. I don't even know how many countries we represent right now. But between the first iteration of that show, which was called World of Death, we had over 200 episodes of World of Death. And that mostly played on Bloody Disgusting's YouTube channel. And between that and Bloody Bites now, the new version of that show, I'd say we represent at least 60 different countries with filmmakers. Yeah, that's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Man, that's great. And there is a website for Better Luck Than Chuck that's out there. The link for that is in the description as well if you want to keep up on any news for the upcoming start of that show, which I'm really looking forward to. That's such a cool idea. We talked about just doing like a trivia night on here before, but to have a whole game show, oh man, how do you get on that?
Wait for season 2 and apply, man. I mean, you can certainly apply to be a contestant.
That would be hilarious. We all got on.
We had a couple different podcast hosts on the show, actually. So,
oh yeah,
yeah.
I'd be all nervous and keep getting questions wrong or mispronouncing names, and
you do that.
I would love that. Yeah, that's my shit. That would be what I would do.
Yeah, I question how good I would be on it as a contestant. I don't know if I'd be very good at it, even though I know most of the questions. I just not because I'm the director of it, but as a contestant, as a horror nerd, I know most of them. I say I probably knew about 85% to 90% of the questions I knew, and I was like, I still wouldn't do very good. I wouldn't hit the buzzer on time, or I'd fuck up when I try and say the answer.
Yeah, that's me too. I just fall apart.
I'd probably end up being like Carlton on that episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where they're on the game show and he takes too long explaining his answer. That would probably be me.
Now, you guys all need to say I'd be a great contestant. I got a good personality and I know all my horror stuff and I'd answer really well, because we're not going to pick you if you say you're not going to do good. We need competition.
I mean, I would do great, but I mean, you know,
our contestants were good. We had some real fucking strong, intelligent horror nerds on the show. And I love it because it's like it gave me an opportunity to sit and bullshit with other horror fans, you know, after we were done recording their episodes. And we've kept in touch with a lot of them. And, you know, some of them they've had my wife and I on their podcast to talk about the show. And so, again, really excited for people to see it when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm ready to watch it.
Yeah, the website doesn't really do much in terms of directing you on when it's coming out or how to watch it.
I think it just says coming soon.
Yeah, it'll get updated. Right now, it's a placeholder website, but we built the website for the contestants when we were looking for contestants last year. But we're going to update the website once we, you know, solidify our release date and start telling people how to find it.
Okay. Cool. So just hang on a bookmark it, save it.
Yes. And follow us on Instagram. You can find Better Luck Than Chuck on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Scotchworthy, like a bottle of scotch, and worthy, like we are not worthy, Scotchworthy. Exactly.
I have the title.
I meant to actually have you tell that story of how you got the name to these guys, because I actually watched a couple of the other podcasts you've done in the past. So I know the story, but I wanted you to explain to them how you came up with Scotchworthy.
So senior year of college, I sold Cutco kitchen knives over the summer before my senior year of college. And me and this guy, Bill Balick, who was a cinematographer who's going to Columbia, which is a film school and art school in Chicago. Him and I started watching a lot of movies together and like binged the Twin Peaks series together and shit like that. And R.I.P. David Lynch. And, we were horror fans and talked about making movies together. And we started talking about like we started going to see a lot of horror movies in the theater. And at that time, it was like 2001. There's a lot of really crappy horror movies out around then, in my opinion, at least, because I think the studio system was just putting out some garbage. And so we would go and see a movie, and one of the big like convention weekends, like conference weekends with Cutco, they had like a big sales push for a week where all the different districts would try and sell more knives than the other ones. It was like a Girl Scout cookie contest, you know.
My ex actually did that.
Oh, see, so basically we're at this conference and two different district managers were like, they were competing. They made a bet saying, you know, my district is going to sell more knives than your district in this week's period. And whoever's district won, the other guy had to buy him a bottle of Louis Trey. And, you know, which is like what, $1,500 bottle of scotch. Yeah. And so Bill and I started going to the theater, watching movies. And after leaving so many crappy horror movies, we started saying to ourselves, do you think that we're going to see a good movie before we make our own movie? And so we started going into movies and saying, is this movie Scotch worthy or not? Because we basically bet ourselves like a bottle of Jameson or something. You know, Jameson's not Scotch, but I'm not a Scotch drinker. I'm more of a whiskey drinker. So we said, let's bet a bottle of cheap whiskey instead of a bottle of Louis Trey, and whoever, and we'll bet either we're going to see a movie first or we're going to make a movie that we like. And so we started asking if movies were Scotch worthy, and that's how I got the name.
I love the name. I think it's great.
Thanks. It's a mouthful, and people have a hard time spelling it when they try and write my email address down. But
really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So. But no, again, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. It means a lot that you found me organically. Like, you didn't even have Chad say, oh, we should go talk to this guy I knew 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's badass. And I appreciate that you went through and you watched my catalog. You said you even watched The Muck, which is so fucking good. I love The Muck so much.
It was on Indieplex.
Oh, yeah? On Indieplex. Did I fucking sell it to them, or are they
Uh-oh. Lawsuit.
Get somebody's ass.
Yeah. Yeah, send me a link to that if you can. I don't remember who I licensed it to and who I didn't, but
get them.
Starting drama over here, Chad.
I had to add their subscription to my Prime account because that's the only way I could watch it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check. I might have. I think I like put it on like Indie Hub or something, and they just like sell it to whoever. So I don't know. I should probably look into that and see if I have any royalties coming.
Yeah, get paid.
Yeah, right. I should. It's about damn time.
Sure. Yeah, no shit, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hanging out, man. We know we kept you kind of late, but this was a lot of fun. Gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to add this evening?
No, I mean, I had never seen, besides It's My Party. I know Chad had shown me it years ago, but I had never seen any of the other films. You know, once Chuck had mentioned High on the Hog, I went and checked that out. And then, like we said, we watched The Rake and the Skeletons in the Closet. Like, I think I enjoyed that the most. That was a lot of fun. We were sitting there watching that, and we go back like the different little cuts of the girl watching the TV, and then the call sign or whatever for the channel would come up. They're like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
You know, it's just like little stuff like that would crack us up and everything. And like I said, the characters of the widow and Charlie, they really stood out. And like I said, I think they resonate with a lot of people. So it's glad to see. I'm glad to see those characters coming back as well. But I'm definitely glad that I was introduced to your catalog and was able to see this stuff. And I think there's a lot of people that need to go and check it out. You know,
thank you.
There's definitely so much shit out there in the world. You know, as far as film goes, there's so many options, and a lot of this stuff kind of falls by the wayside sometimes. You know, and it's not intentional, but you know, that's just the nature of the business. Yeah. So you know, anytime, like you said, you have like a long list of recommendations you give to people. It's nice that we're able to go ahead and take some of your stuff and recommend it to people as well.
Yeah, and if anybody that you listen to or that listens to you guys, or if you guys are looking for physical stuff, go to scotchworthy.com. We've got Blu-rays of Skeletons in the Closet. We got the vinyl soundtrack for Skeletons in the Closet on vinyl. We've got, like I said, the 15-year anniversary DVD of It's My Party, I'll Die If I Want To is really fucking solid. It comes with a 30-page comic for the sequel, You Would Die Too, if it happened to you. And you know, lots of good stuff on there. So if you're a fan of collecting physical media, you know, Scotchworthy certainly appreciates the support, and that way you've got it forever, and you can watch as many times as your little heart desires.
Yep.
I did want to ask, are you much on the con scene? Do you ever do much cons, and have you got anything going on?
I do a lot of the Midwest ones, especially Days of the Dead. Because I'm able to get a vendor table through the film festival that runs through Days of the Dead, because I partnered with them for Bloody Bites to collect new short films. And so I represent Screambox and Bloody Disgusting at a lot of the Midwest conventions. I've been to other ones on both coasts and in Pennsylvania and such, but down in Georgia. But I'd like to do more. It's just tough because you have to, you know, if you're flying somewhere, you have to fly, you have to ship or pack all of your stuff with you that you're selling.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to pay a shit ton of money for a vendor table, and you have to get a hotel room. It's very expensive. And if you don't have, you know, as much as physical media is not dead in the horror genre, it's a lot harder to convince people to purchase a Blu-ray of a movie they've never heard of or that they've never seen. And even if I have, you know, a nice TV at my booth, which I always typically have like a 45-inch, you know, flat screen showing all my trailers, people will sit and they'll say, wow, you know, the quality looks pretty solid and it looks like a fun movie. Yeah. So why don't you buy the movie and support me so I can keep doing this? And, you know, it's tough. It's still tough because they brought their $200 to spend on some actor to get an autograph. And you know, that's just how it is. So, I would like to do more, and I'm hoping that as my role with Screambox continues to evolve, that maybe I will be more of a presence at conventions and somebody that people will want to see and talk to. And so, yeah, that's kind of my goal right now, is to be more involved. But it just matters on how far it is from where I live and whether I can afford to do it.
I understand that shit 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy. We've talked about how like expensive cons have gotten since we were younger. Like I remember whenever I first met Sid Haig, I was 18, and like I think I paid $10, and he wrote most of all "fuck you" on my DVD, and then he just sat there and talked to us for like 10-15 minutes, and then did a picture for free and everything. Now you're paying like $50 for the graph, $45 for like another photo with them, so you're spending like $100 just to get a combo reel.
Dude, I mean that's cheap. Like $100 is cheap now for some of these people. You know? Yeah, I'm not I've seen some that are like a couple $100. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me! Like you are ripping your fans off, like because you know they're gonna pay it. If they're a big enough fan of yours, they're gonna pay it. But that's bullshit. You're signing your name. Just like show them some appreciation by charging less money. And sometimes it's the managers and you know. There's a whole business behind sitting at a table and signing autographs at these conventions. But at the end of the day, I've always said if I ever get to that point, if I'm ever privileged enough to be at a position where people are coming to me and asking for my autograph, I would try my best to make it something that I I don't even see a reason to charge for an autograph. I would charge if you want to do something else. Just buy my movie and I'll sign it and take 50 pictures with you. You know,
like I love the man to death, but like me and Mike, I think we spent like a total of like $350 just to have John Carpenter do a signature and a photo. But the photo is with the Halloween car, like the station wagon from the first one.
I mean, Carpenter's the only person.
I'd still do it again. Don't get me wrong, because it's Carpenter, but
yeah. I mean, I got last year. I got to meet Clive Barker, who's a huge influence on me, and it was $100 to get an autograph and all that shit. But that's I won't go. I mean, once I met Clive Barker, I don't see me ever paying that again for anybody else. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's those rarities. I wouldn't do that for anybody else. So. And his situation is a little different from some, but yeah, I think that once most celebrities, go over like $50, that's a bit much. You know,
it's it's definitely a different world now. It's like I was just talking to my buddy the other day, and we feel like once The Walking Dead got big and all these guys from Walking Dead were doing conventions, the prices just went through the roof. Yeah. And then it was like you had like guys like Kane Hodder and all these guys that weren't charging that much before, but now you got like these fucking nobodies from Walking Dead coming in and charging an arm and a leg and getting it, and they're like, well, fuck, I got to raise my prices because why are these guys getting money and I'm not? And I'm like a legend, they definitely deserve it. But it's like, there's it's been a competitive market. And the sad part is a lot of these guys treat it almost like an assembly line where it's just like, all right, here, take the money, sign the autograph, take the picture, go on. Yeah. And that's the shitty part. But there's like people like Robert Englund that will stay there hours on end, and he'll take the time. Like if you pay your money, he'll sit there and he'll talk to you. And
I was gonna say I had a buddy who had a bad experience with Robert Englund. There was like there was it was at Scarefest a couple of years ago when he was around. And I had a buddy who waited in line for 45 minutes, and there was at least like 30 other people behind him. And he went, oh, "I'm done," and it was done. Like people wait, and he left. Yeah, and I've heard back and forth when it goes down to England. As sad as that may be, but
I feel like everybody has good days and bad days. Everybody has a tolerance level that they just get past at a certain point. But I've heard lots of different people have good experiences and bad experiences, and I don't know. It is what it is. I'm very fortunate that the people that I've talked to at a convention are fairly nice overall. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I feel like anybody that is in the position where you have a line of people out the door waiting to meet you and and get your autograph, you should be humble and grateful every single second of every one of those moments.
Yeah, it's like Matthew Lillard. We went and saw them at Steel City the one year, and I think the venue closed down at like 6, and he stayed there and signed until 9 o'clock till the whole line was done.
Wow.
Yeah, he made sure. Cool. He made sure that everybody got to meet him that was waiting in that line. So,
he's one person that I can say everybody I've heard mention him says he is awesome.
Yeah.
He is very grateful.
Yeah, like I even had a short experience with Bruce Campbell, and that really bummed me the fuck out because I'm a Bruce fan. Like I had Bruce sign my arm to complete my Evil Dead sleeve, and that shit was quick. He's like, "What do you want? You want the book?" I'm like, "No, sign my arm." He's like, "Whatever, see ya."
Yeah, Matthew Lillard was great. I'm out. When I met him, my mom works for Scarefest, and I got a bunch of random messages at the night of the after party they always have, and it was a bunch of like she was at the after party hanging out with Matthew Lillard. And he grabbed her phone and started taking a bunch of fucking selfies and shit. And I was like, "What the fuck is it?" Like I didn't even know it was happening. Mom was just like sending me like ding ding ding. I was like, "Why am I getting dinged so much?" Looked at it, just a bunch of fucking. It was just a bunch of random pictures of Matthew Lillard. Cool dude. Cool as fuck dude.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's shitty though. Like Chad said, meeting Bruce Campbell. Like that. You got the guy fucking tattooed on your body. That level of dedication, and it's just like, oh, I'll just ain't nothing. I'm
busy. And zombie Ash.
Yeah. It's like, come on, man. If somebody did that, maybe I'm just a different kind of person, but if somebody did that for something I was a part of, my mind would be blown. I'd be like, "Fuck, dude, you put this on your body forever of me, dude. You let's stand here, let's bullshit, whatever you want, pictures, autographs. I don't give a fuck."
Yep.
You know?
Same here. The day that someone walks up to my table at a convention and shows me a tattoo of one of my movie characters,
yeah,
that'll be it.
I got some room left. I got room for a Charlie tat.
Where are you gonna put it?
Oh, dude, Chad, don't fucking tease me with that shit, man.
He'll do it.
It was funny because we went and Jason Patrick was at the OneCon, and I showed him my Kiefer tat, and he was like, "Where am I at?" And I'm like, "Next time I see you, I'll have it."
Yeah, that's a nice looking tattoo.
I still haven't got it, but
no.
Yeah.
I should probably get going, guys. I'm sure my wife wants me to get downstairs and hang out with her for a little bit before she passes out. So
we're about to get ready as well. If you want to hang out for maybe 5 more minutes, we'll wrap everything up.
Yep.
Sorry.
Good.
Hell yeah.
Okay, you want to do the clip?
We'll do the clip.
Okay,
It's now time for our random clip of the week. If you're new, we fire up the random clip generator. It selects a random clip from a random movie, and we hope that it doesn't get us kicked off the internet. Word.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, or cutaway coat, perfect fits.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, classic.
I hope we can get tagged for that one.
We got a few ads to run, and then after that, we'll say what we're doing next week, and then we'll be out of here.
All right. Get us paid.
First off.
Hey everybody, Laser Trading Company is on YouTube. See some of the videos from Mike's travels and experiences. If you haven't already, please head over and subscribe. 7,800 and growing. Thank you all. Laser Trading Company is also available on eBay with various merchandise and collectibles. Hundreds of great gift ideas. That's Laser Trading Company. Laser Trading Company. Laser Trading Company.
You know him from Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, Nasty Nation, Graveyard Talk, and the Video Store Clerks Podcast. He is the creator of Stoner Gore.
Jack Nasty! And if you're looking for the latest in extreme horror, head over to Amazon.com. Look up Chuck Nasty, and the following titles are available. Along with the latest album, Decay of Man, from Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube now.
And in addition to that, here's the official website for Scotchworthy Productions.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you check it out. Scotchworthyproductions.com. Links, again, are in the description, as is his YouTube channel, Scotchworthy TV. You know, check that out. It's a large catalog, good stuff. If you've never seen any of these movies, we highly recommend each and every one of them. Support Tony, his company, and independent cinema as a whole.
Yeah, plenty of fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, it's a lot. It took me a while to scroll through.
Be there a while. Anyway, you get the idea. Go check that shit out, man, because that's dope. Tony's the shit, man. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been fun.
Thanks,
guys. Yeah. I was almost worried because I didn't know if it'd be too last minute, because literally last Tuesday after we got off, I hit you up Wednesday morning, and then you made it happen. Like, I appreciate everything, man. Like, we definitely got to stay in touch more often. Get back together. Like, you have an open invitation on here anytime. You ever see like an ad pop up for what we're doing the following week? If you want to be like, yo, I want to talk about that shit, just hit me up. We'll get you on.
Well, once Better Luck Than Chuck comes out, why don't you guys have me and my wife on to talk about recording the show and getting everything made for it, and tell us what you think of it when you see it.
Oh, we'd love it.
That's a deal.
Oh, that would be fun. We might be able to do a little trivia that night. Do a little interactive trivia podcast with.
Let's do it.
With you guys. That'd be fun.
I want to know how good you guys do when you're watching the show. I want to know how many questions you know.
I'm gonna fall apart.
So, well, cool. Let's plan for it then.
Oh yeah, I'm in. All in.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for talking about my movies and for watching them and saying all the wonderful things you said about them. Everybody that worked on them, really appreciates that.
Good.
Yeah, man. Definitely got to keep in touch way more often.
Yes,
but
sir.
Next week, we are doing a film for our 3rd annual Valentine's Day special. And everybody needs love. So next week, we're going to be talking about the 1935 Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
Bride of Frankenstein.
One of the greatest sequels of all time in horror cinema.
There you have it. That's next week. We'll be here Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel as well. Show us some love. We need it. It's a tough world out there, and we need all the love we can get. We're middle-aged, sad, and lonely. So please subscribe. And a study was confirmed at an online university that every time you subscribe to our channel, an angel gets his wings.
We're pathetic fucks. Hit like.
Whoa. So thank you again, Tony. We appreciate it. All the love and support from us. We are your clerks. We're out of here, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Pack it tight.
Pack it tight, baby.
Pack it tight.